So we're a week into the league and you're looking for the next best thing. You're looking for that awesome reroll, that build that can do content, that build that can clear the Elderslayers and all the bosses, that build that can brainlessly map. You've got currency burning a hole in your pocket and you're not sure what to spend it on. You're looking for something that can tackle delirium, maybe do 80% no problem, maybe kind of tickle your way into 100. You're looking for that build that's going to start putting you on that path toward that mage blood, that headhunter, that now rising fulcrum that was like 40C yesterday. I woke up, it's over 8 divines. You are looking for the next thing, the next build. You're like me, you started on something fun, you're really enjoying it, but you see your friends doing this and you see your friends doing that, and you want something a little bit more. You want to step up your league starter to the next thing. And now you're here. Well, recently I've started streaming on YouTube, and YouTube has been great. I've been doing it alongside Twitch and the YouTube community. You guys are absolutely fantastic. My Twitch community, I love you guys to death just as well. But over on YouTube, a viewer and friend of mine named Qanar has been watching the stream. He's been really enjoying it, and he asked me the other day, he was like, hey man, I see you're loving Bone Zone, but can I show you what I'm doing? This is awesome. And I was like, awesome, what are you doing? And he was like, Manaforge, Ballista, Caustic, Arrow, Poison, Totem, thing that shoots things and blows things up with despair and pops and stuff. And I was like, what? And he was like, well, a bunch of people are playing a build and I thought it was really cool. And I put my spin on it. And I was like, sick, let me see. So he links me over to his YouTube. I check out his video, I watch him kill the Maven, I go through his videos, I see him do day 2 delirium, 100%. I'm watching him run and weave and dodge, and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And then I noticed he's on like day 2 gear. This was recorded 6 days ago. I'm looking at the clock and the calendar. I'm freaking out. And I was like, I'm in. How do I play it? What do we do? What's going on? And he was like, sick. Here's all the information. And I was like, holy crap, I am in. Now, all of this information will be in the comments or in the description down below. You'll be able to get there, a link to his channel, what he's doing, what's going on. And it has been awesome. He has done a fantastic job of providing you guys with POBs, leveling. He answers questions and it's been great. And I really just wanted to try it. Now, a bunch of you guys have told me that I think Palstron's playing something similar. Garoth is playing something similar. Like there's a bunch of people who are playing Caustic Hour of Poison, and it has just been super out of this world fun. So I started playing it on stream and you guys have been giving me cool ideas and suggestions, and I've just been trying to put my own little spin and my own little take on it. And it has been out of this world fantastic. Now, my variant of the build is going to be a little bit different than his, and you know, you'll pick and choose between what you like, what you don't like. You'll put your own little spin on it. And at the end of the day, if you get stuck or you have questions, head on over to the Discord. You know, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions, try to figure it out. Me personally, I don't know how to like calculate the numbers in POB for this. I am not smart enough for that because it's a poison build. But things explode, things go boom, and things are great. Now, one of the biggest differences you'll notice between his build when looking at it and my build is I am using a very nifty, interesting Spectre setup. I actually want to summon the Specters first and get the Specters out. Then we'll go do a map. And actually, let's go do a map. I'll show you without and with the Specters, and it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Now, the build itself is really easy, really straightforward. Oh, I was selling things. Let me unpublic this. You know, we grab our waste pool maps, we make sure we don't roll a reflect map, because even though all of our damage can poison, I could still accidentally kill myself with reflex somehow. I don't actually know if I can or not. I just don't want to die on camera again, ever. Because then I'll cry and people will giggle me in the chat, dog. Old Twitch meme, I'm sorry. Anyways, the build works out really well. You can go into maps, you can go into the Wildwood. The Wildwood with this build has not been a problem at all. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you a map with this, a map without this, and just overall, like, you know, how it's all been going, what's been going on. Now, I really, really, really enjoy the build a lot. I have been having an absolute blast playing it. The gear itself has been relatively fun to craft and put together, and I can teach you and show you guys how to do that if you have any questions about it. The biggest downside to the build that some of you guys might not enjoy, I know some people have tried very similar builds and they didn't like it, is the fact that it is poison damage. Now, what that means is that I have to hit the mobs will take poison will tick down, and no matter how much damage you do, eventually there is a poison cap, and there's just nothing you can do about it. That's how the game's programmed. So eventually you'll hit a theoretical max damage cap of like 30-something million, and you just kind of go. Now, this Essence mob was double corrupted with the Wildwood, and, you know, he went down pretty swimmingly. You can see this is a very basic map. You know, nothing too fancy. We're pretty much just doing whatever the heck we want, cruising right through the map. Now, I have been using this to do maps. I have been having a great time. This build pretty much decimates everything the Wildwood has to throw at me. I can just stand here. The only thing that's really been giving me a hard time and really been killing me in these maps has just been like dots on the ground or really ginormous one hits. You know, you never want to stand in those like weird shape or slam things because every mob hits you like, you know, a meteor crashing into the earth, or you never really want to stand in those like weird fizz dots. So as long as you're like, you know, paying attention to the ground degen effects that you could probably never see, you'll essentially be okay. Now you can see the boss of this map was Wildwooded. I'm pretty sure. I wasn't really paying attention. And, you know, it died relatively quick. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I totally, like, spaced out for a second. I was watching the health bar, like, decimate, and I was like, every time I play this build and every time I do a map, it has just been more and more enjoyable. I just get the colors, the aesthetic, the feel, the way it flows and handles. It has just felt awesome. Like, fantastic. Like, everything about it has just been great. Now, I am a big fan of Blight. This is no secret, and if you are a fan of Blight as well, this build, not only can it Blight, but it can Blight with ease. It checks all of the boxes that we want. It explodes, it proliferates, it deals damage, thing go boom. So if you're looking for something fun or awesome to even Blight with, I really, really suggest this build. Now, I know there's a lot of gear we have to go over, and I know there's a lot of things that you guys want to see in the POB tree and stuff like that, but pretty much, you know, I'm going to just finish up this Blight really quick. I'm going to show you about the Specters and what they do. I'm going to show you a little showcase with the Specters. We'll talk about the gear, and then I'm actually going to end this on one of my favorite things to do, and we are going to run a Blighted map. Not only are we going to run a Blighted map, we are going to run an extremely juiced Blight Ravaged map, and I will show you guys pretty much just how easy it is to run the Blight Ravaged map. Now, there's probably going to be, I don't know if I actually have a Blight Ravaged map, so I didn't even think about it. So there might be a small look cut. I might have to go like buy a Blight Ravaged map, but whatever. It'll be fine, right? It'll be okay. Don't worry. Now, like I said, the only bad thing about this build is you see right here on this Blight boss, we have to wait for poisons to tick up. If you're okay with that and you're like fine with that, it's really strong and really good, and the damage just kind of like starts off really slow and then it ramps up quite nice. I've managed to do Uber Shaper, I've done Maven, I've done Sirius. I haven't really done the other bosses yet, or the Feared. I'm still like putting the parts together for it. I've mostly been a little bit slow about it and getting the things together. It's a lot of loot. We're gonna talk about this loot and why that loot happened in another video. And if you guys want to know why my loot explosion looked like that, or what's been going on, or why the Wildwood seems to be a little crazy, you guys let me know down below in the comment section. This ring is double gold, by the way. That's insane. You guys let me know down below in the comment section. I'll make sure to like get something out to you guys. Watch. It's made of gold, babe. Oh, so cringe, dude. Holy cannolis. Oh man, I love playing this game. I do. I was hoping to get another one. Unlucky. We're just gonna skip the amber oil. We're gonna come back for the fusings. Fusings are too important. Is there anything I can just trash? I'm scared of that. It's fine. Anyways, that's the build on the map. The build on the map goes pretty much swimmingly. It does everything we essentially want it to do, and it feels really good. So let's talk about the Specters and what's going on in X, Y, and Z. So very recently, a lot of you guys coming by the stream have talked to me about Specters. You guys have told me that there's a really cool Specter tech that we can be doing where we can do a, 21 raise Specter or 2120 raise Specter. We can get corpses raised at level 76, and we can have a bunch of corpses that do a bunch of really cool things. For example, and this link will be down below, we can get a corpse that just gives us wrath, like straight up wrath, and lightning damage is lucky. Like that's really cool. And you can get one that has vitality and endurance charges. That's the guy that you hear screaming constantly. And then if you're playing a bow character, you can get precision and fortification. Or if you need extra defenses, you can get grace. And overall, pretty much, you can just pick and choose Specters to do whatever you want. Now, these Specters currently I have linked with minion life support, elemental army support, and meat shield support. And while they don't die in normal content, if you're doing that 100% juice deli or those Ubers, they might die. They will probably die. You are not a minion build, you are not a Specter build, you are using these Specters as runaround Orobots, and you are buying the cheap ones because the expensive ones get expensive, and you are just running around and you are blowing dudes up. Now, this guy who won't shut up, who just keeps kind of like screaming, he's about 180 C at the time of recording. These guys right here, the Thunderbird, I guess is not working on the trade macro. The Thunderbird I buy for about 45. The Naval Officer I buy about 45, and this is Chaos. And this guy is about 20 to 30 C. Some of these corpses are extremely expensive. Do not buy the expensive ones. Do not make the mistake I did. I bought the expensive ones and they died. And then I felt bad and I said, LOL, XD smiley face, and bought them again. And then they died again. If you want to do the Specter tech, buy the cheap Specters. Qanar does not do the Specter tech. He actually just kind of doesn't want to deal with it. I enjoy picking up the Specters. I think it's a fun little take on the build. And, you know, if it's your thing, buy the Specters. Now, the Specters work by right-clicking. They go on the ground. You can resummon them. You right-click them. They go on the ground. You can summon them. You can right-click them. You can go on the ground. You can summon them. If they die, you have to buy them again. Do not let them die. If they die, you have to buy them again. Small heads up. Now, we have our Specters, and you can see right away, we have Wrath, we have Lucky Aura, we have Endurance Charges, we have Vitality, we have Grace, we have Precision Aura, we've got Malevolence from our own body, we have Herald of Agony, and we're just gonna go do an invite. You know? The heck with it. Let's just go, you know, do an invite and see what happens. Now, I like the Specters a lot. I think they're a really cool take on the build. I like the little gimmicks that each, you know, league has to offer, and this being like the Charms and the second Ascendancy and the Specters. I think that's really cool. You can see Drox just like, where's the other guy? Oh, there's Baron. I was like, where the heck did he go? Now you can see the damage is, you know, it's there. It just takes a little second to like ramp up. But as soon as the damage starts ramping up, you know, they die. So as long as you're okay with damage ramping up, I don't want to hide the fact that it's not instant damage. I do want to like showcase that the damage does indeed take a second. And pretty much one of the biggest things to note about this build, if you're going to play it and you're going to try to do it, woo, baby. Okay. That's awesome. Sorry, that was a moment. That was a moment. These things are like really expensive too. But one of the things that I really want to point out and really want to talk about is the damage feels good in the axe. The damage feels good while leveling. The damage feels great in maps, and the damage every single upgrade will get better and get better and get better. So as you start to, you know, upgrade the character and move into more gear and move into better gear and do things, the damage will just increase and increase and increase. One of the things I will say about the build, and one of the things that I'll really point out, is the damage itself is heavily reliant on tinctures. If this tincture turns off at any point and you say, wow, my damage is bad, wow, my damage feels terrible, just double check. Is your tincture on? Yes, then you need upgrades or something's wrong. Ask us what the heck is wrong. If your tincture is not on, turn it on. I have done plenty of maps with the tincture off, knowing that the build is really good and very confused on what the heck is going on, to only have somebody in the live stream say, hey, turn your tincture back on, turn the tincture back on. Everything's just like blowing back up. So step 1, turn your tincture on. Step 2, there are rolls on the tincture. You want to get a good roll on your tincture. You want to try to find one that does not suck. I got phasing on kill and one that gives me wither when I hit a mob. A lot of our damage is poison. All of our damage is poison. We have a lot of chance to poison, so you want to make sure that you're able to apply wither, and having chance to apply wither being a pathfinder plus the tincture to give you immediate instant wither just means that you just hit a mob, and in theory, because we can't track wither, it is full wither capped and we are good to go, because you just apply 7 and then you hit it with a bunch of ballistas that shoot 4,000 things, and then the Stormrain is hitting 400 times. So in theory, you just have immediate wither all the time ever. So if you're looking at calculations, you try to figure out wither stacks, yes. Now the gear itself is really interesting and really straightforward. We are playing a bow character. We do not have the squishiness of a bow character. We are relatively tanky. We get grace from the Spectre who died. The stupid bird died. Can't make this up. Anyways, we get grace if we choose to take it from the stupid bird. You do not need the bird for grace. I bought the bird for grace to make sure the other Specters don't die. This dumb bird dies. To be one guy. Ah, those Specters suck. The Specters are good, I promise. Just they die. Sometimes they die, and sometimes you have to rebuy them. You do not need the Specters, but the stupid bird died. Anyways, we get grace from the bird. You really don't need it. Like I said, the grace I picked up to get the other Specters. I'm actually probably going to change the bird out because the bird seems to be the weakest of the Specters. So I'll probably go find a different one to experiment with. I'm really not sure what other one I want. I don't know. We're going to find out. We'll see. I'm going to go peek around. See if there's any other cool Specter that, like, you know, I think there's one that, like, gives you damage reduction. I think it's a turtle. I might go grab that and try that one out and see how it feels. Experiment with the Specters. Really, honestly do. Yeah, there's one that casts determination and physical damage reduction. I hope he's not expensive. I bet you he's expensive. We're going to find out. We're going to find out together. Are we about to be Grace gamers forever? Oh, man. Did I pick it? There it is. Perfect Guardian Turtle. Oh, I guess the trade website's dead again. All right, trade website's dead. Never mind. So now that you guys know, at the time of recording, the trade website's currently dead. Anyways, our defenses, we do have grace, so we're going to have determination. You're going to have some kind of aura. I have not had one until late yesterday playing this character. It has not really needed it. You are overcapped on resistances by an absolute ton. You are stun and block recovery. You are ailment immune. You take all fizz as Ellie. You have reduced damage from the Dying Sun, reduced damage from the Taste of Hate, reduced damage from the Topaz Flask. Your tincture is increasing all of the effects. You gain regen life with a Quicksilver Flask that's always on. You are a Pathfinder or a Flask Finder. You are defensive. It works. It is super strong. Now, the real kicker. How do we gear this character? What do we do? What does our weapon look like? And what is our bow and stuff like that? Your bow, you just want the highest DPS bow that you can find. DPS through the roof. Since all damage can poison, we want to have a bow that just does as much DPS as possible. I currently right now have a 1354 DPS bow. My bow, like I said, I bought a high damage bow with good attack speed, open suffix. I crafted on chaos.multi. I paid 6 divs for this bow. With trade being down, I can't price check it for you in this video. Bows are interesting. Bows are weird. Bows get really expensive. And the gentleman who I bought this bow from said that he was trying for triple LE. He hit fizz damage. He didn't want it. He sold it to me. My ring, I grabbed an Iolite ring. Before I had this ring, I had very basic, very simple, down-to-earth rings. You do not need crazy rings. You do not need expensive rings to get started. I originally started with a ring like this. It had chaos resistance, resistances to fix my resistances, crafted on life. As you progress, you can get nice rings like this. This ring gives us minus mana. This is essence crafted for a metric ton of chaos damage. Fire resist, colder or chaos resist, extra life. I managed to exalt slam on physical damage to attacks, which is really good because it increases our DPS. My helmet is a helmet designed to work with the minion stuff. You do not need a minion fracture helmet if you choose to not do the minion stuff. If you're doing the minion stuff, you probably need +2 minion gems, or more likely, you definitely 100% need +2 minion gems to raise the level of Raise Specter. But if you're not doing the minion stuff, you can grab a helmet that looks exactly like this with spell suppression, accuracy, strength. You do need a strength roll somewhere. I originally had it on my helmet, and then I moved it over to my somewhere where I put the strength on my amulet. You can get a helmet like this. These are infinitely cheaper than this. This fracture is very expensive. You can find a helmet crafted like this on the trade website for about 17, 18 divs. You can find a helmet like this on the trade website for like 5. If you choose to do the Specters. You don't have to do the Specters. The Specters are extra. I'm just going to keep repeating that over and over and over. I like the Specters. The Specters are a me thing and my little twist on it. I think it's fun. You do not need the Specters. The amulet you want to spend a little bit or splurge a little bit. I got this base for about 5 divs with the fracture. You can get very similar bases. You do not need 24% dot multi. You can get 23 and save yourself a ton of money. You do need the attributes, so do look for an amulet with attributes. I put the strength for my gear requirement on the amulet. I pretty much just took the amulet with the fracture. I slammed on a strength essence until I got a resistance. I locked suffixes, veiled chaos orbed for life, and then crafted on non-channeling. If you have questions about how to craft the gear, or you do not know how to craft the gear, or you need help crafting the gear, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below and I will get back to you, or come by the Discord and post in the help section. There's a crafting section there and we'll walk you through crafting the amulet. The quiver is a bit of a pain. Now I have a double dot multi quiver. This quiver actually could be a lot better. It could have attack speed on it. So, you know, the quiver will be the hard part. The quiver will be the expensive part. Essentially, you just want to grab a hunter quiver and reforge chaos on it via harvest until you get double dot multi. When I started this build and I started playing, I used the quiver like this, just some life, some resistance, dot multi. You do not need the crazy quiver to get started. This was my old quiver. It did me absolute wonders. But if you are looking for a quiver, or you do want something, I'm not saying to buy mine. I'm saying I reforged harvest a couple of times until I got this. I was done with it. I tried to sell this quiver for about 6 divs. It didn't sell. There are cheaper quivers for like 4 divs, 3 divs. You could probably get a really nice quiver for a couple of divine if you're looking to spend divines. And, you know, make your upgrades slow. You do not need. The first thing, get a nice bow. After you get a nice bow, start looking at all the other stuff. Now, I am using Dodri's Damning. This is a very interesting ring. I bought mine corrupted with more resistances so that I don't have to worry about clicking altars, and I didn't want to worry about clicking anything. I didn't want to worry about LE weakness or any of that crap. So I bought mine with extra resistances on it. I got mine with a high int roll for the Specter gem. And essentially we're just using this ring because we're going to be applying 2 curses. The 2 curses are coming from our Ascendance gloves. We are getting temp chains from the gloves and despair and hit with the gloves. Ascendance with despair on hit and the Dodri ring adds a ton, and I mean a ton and ton and ton of damage to the build. I do think it's really good. I do think it's worth buying the Ascendance with the despair if you have the divines. When the trade site was working yesterday and I bought my gloves, they were about 6 divines. Now you'll notice very quickly my gloves have +2 level of socketed minion gems. If you are going with the route that I am taking, you need to get +2 minion gems on your gloves, and you get despair somewhere else, whether you hard cast it, whether you find a pair of gloves like this. I bought this pair done with the 2 for 7 divs. Now, if the trade site was working, there's actually a div card that you can buy that will give you Ascendance gloves double corrupted, and that's probably the best way to go about it. Actually, I'm gonna see if I have one. I don't. There is a div card. Let's see. Can we go to the wiki and find it? Ascendancy, Gentle Touch Gloves, the divination card. There you go. There is a card. Where's the card? There it is. Gift of the Ascendancy. You can actually pick these up. These cards are not very expensive. They come out of Crystal Core, Dig, Excavation, Geode, Grotto, Flooded Mine. You can actually just farm these cards. These cards are pretty cheap. Some of these combinations on Athens are worth like a ton. I'm pretty sure mine came out of the cards. I don't think anybody's actually going out and double corrupting these. So you can go out and buy the cards yourself and try to make a pair. The boots are pretty straightforward. I got spell suppression boost. I grabbed an essence for shock. I slam shock until chaos resistance. I lock suffixes, reforged chaos for movement speed. And then I put avoid being shock. Now the avoid being shock is 110% for, where is it? I have a jewel somewhere. You guys might know what this is before I even have to show it. It's somewhere. Is that it? No. Is it? No. That it? No. This one? Yeah! Storm Shroud. Modifiers the chance to shock apply to all elemental elements. So the boots are designed to work with Storm Shroud. The boots plus Storm Shroud plus this wheel over here for elemental ailment immunity gives us our ailment immunity. So you want to roll the boots and you want to do the boots like this so that you are shock immune. Now you can actually get a higher tier of implicit of avoid being shock on your boots. You can roll grands and graders and they can roll a lot higher, and you could probably like get shock cap with not needing all the points down here, but that's just kind of like where I'm at in the grand scheme of like having currency and things. Our chest plate, I forgot to mention, is lightning coil. We're using lightning coil for fizz taken as lightning. This is really important. Do not change the lightning coil. You need the lightning coil. You don't need the percent damage. It is extra. To the guy yelling about the covenant, lightning coil. There's one guy I know, he's yelling about a covenant. Use a lightning coil. It's really good. There's still a lot of room for upgrades in this build. There's still more min-maxy stuff I can do. I just haven't had the chance to do it because now I'm in the save my money again, go back to bone zone stage of things. But overall, you know, the boots are really good. Now I know we haven't talked about the sockets of the gems, and we'll get there in a second. Now the belt itself is pretty cool and pretty straightforward. This belt, if you were to buy it on trade, is pretty expensive. Make it yourself. It is really easy to make yourself. You grab an essence. More specifically, you grab, is it Hars? It's Hars, right? Is it Hars? Yeah, it is Hars. I can't read. I can't read at all. It says it on here somewhere. Where does it say it? Ah, the last line. You grab an essence of Har, you click it onto the belt, you click it onto the belt again, and you are looking for in the suffix any flask charged or flask duration tier 1 mod. So you take the essence, you slam it onto the belt, you get flask in the suffix, so you gain flash charges gained or flask duration tier 1. You lock suffixes, reforge veiled chaos orb, and the only thing you can unveil for flask, it's like a 1 in 3 you really can't miss, is reduce flash charges gained, flask effects that apply to you. So get a Stygian Vice, slam essence into belt, belt until flask, have flask mod, lock suffix, veiled chaos orb, unveil flask effect, craft on life. Now the hunter mod is the absolute last thing you do. Hunter exalted orbs, before recording, when I bought mine, were about 2 divs each. I assume they're a lot less than 2 divs. I don't know. If you could afford it, do it. If not, it's fine. There are 3 really good options that you can get. One is chaos damage, which you see that I got. The other is max life, which is also really good. And the third one is gain a flash charge on critical strike. If you hit gain a flash charge on critical strike, you take that belt, you put it on trade, you sell it for an absolute metric ton, and you make another belt. I was making these belts for profit, and I was crafting them for about 3 divs without the hunter slam, and then selling them for 10. These are really cool belts to craft. They will make you a lot of money. Somebody's going to be really angry I told you how to craft the belt. Sorry, my bad. Now, we talked about the tincture. The tincture is really important. We have the tincture in the middle of our flask. We want a taste of hate. You want to get the best roll taste of hate that you can. We have a dying sun. You want to get a dying sun that has good AoE because you want coverage. You want to get the best rolled AoE that you can. We're using Dying Sun and we're using the Ruby Flask because we're scaling our Flask effect to the moon, and we want to have the Flask effect of damage taken be reduced. We have a Topaz Flask for the exact same thing. We fix our resistances with the Topaz Flask. We gain charges when we're hit by an enemy because we could take a hit and we won't die. We use the Topaz Flask to reduce damage taken, and then we have a Quicksilver to just move around. The Quicksilver can actually be a Life Flask if you really want to use a Life Flask and you want to move a little bit slower. I like the movement speed of the Quicksilver Flask, but if you're okay with moving a little bit slower and not having crazy ton of movement speed, and you're really worried about dying, you can get a Life Flask, and there's a mod that you can roll on the Life Flask that says your Life Flask works on your Specters and your minions, so you can actually just like infinitely jam on that Life Flask, and your minions will probably never die except for one shots, which is probably what I should do, but I like the movement speed too much, and I'm okay with rebuying the minions because I'm crazy. Now, that is the gear. Now, the gems and the links, we are using a Caustic Arrow of Poison. The difference between this Caustic Arrow and the other one is the other one leaves puddles on the ground, which is poison, and we are scaling our poison based upon poison on hit. We're going to be pairing that with Deadly Ailments, Vicious Proj, Greater Volley, Unbound Elements, and Ballistas. I love the Ballista setup. I love the Ballista tech. I can just drop Ballistas, run, and not even think. In our gloves, we have Raised Specter. Now, note this needs to be level 21 or it won't work. We have minion life support, we have elemental army support, and meat shield support. This is what we use to keep the minions alive. This is what we pretend to use to keep the minions alive. Who am I kidding? That minion damn died in this video. Our helmet, we have Flame Dash, Malevolence, Convocation to attempt to keep the minions alive, Herald of Agony. If you don't do the minion setup, you have a lot of empty gem sockets to pretty much do whatever the heck you want. You can add precision, you can add anything, you can pretty much just do whatever your heart desires. Or you can use the Magi and leave the helmet slot empty and just gain resistances. Or you can leave the belt slot or the boot slot empty, which is actually probably smart if I just like dip the minions all together, move these gems to the helm, move these to the gloves, leave the boots empty, use the Magi for movement speed, put on a movement flask or a health flask. But then I don't have the minions. I don't know. There's so many things that you can do, and it's awesome. Your boots have Ensnaring Arrow, Frenzy, Culling Strike, Manaforged Arrow, so that you could just like, you know, Manaforge Arrow. Your chest plate is really cool. In our chest, we're going to be using, where is it? Stormrain. We're going to just do this so that we can do it easier. We're going to be doing Awakened Vicious Proj, Life Tap, so that we can cast a Stormrain with our life. You can see our life doesn't really move too much, and we can just do this infinitely. Greater multiple projectiles, that's what gives the Stormrain this really wide range of coverage. Manaforge Arrow, and yes, Manaforge Arrow triggers off of Ballista Totems and Unbound Ailments. Now, as you level your gems, now I am missing a ton of damage. My gems are not level 5 yet. As soon as all my gems or my Awakened gems get to level 5, my damage will actually skyrocket through the roof. And that's it. That's the build. The tree is pretty straightforward. For Ascendancy, we're going to grab Tinctures. Tinctures are the backbone of this build. You need Tinctures. The build will not work without Tinctures. We're going to grab effective Tinctures so that we can constantly keep charges on our Dying Sun and our Taste of Hate. I have been told this works and the Tincture counts, and I have been told the Tincture doesn't count. I have no idea if this works or doesn't work. If we find out this doesn't work, you just kind of do this, right? If this does work, you just do this. I don't know. I have it like this. It doesn't really matter. And then the last points are just Wisp, because you're not using Detect Evil. We're not marking anything, and we don't have mana for Barkskin, even though Barkskin seems like it should have been good, but I don't know. I'm hoping they like redo Barkskin. And then, like I said, if you really, really want, you can actually grab Oath of the Magi. If you're not going to do the Spectre setup and get the movement speed like this, which is probably actually a lot better than the minions, and you just like run all around really fast, and then you look weird on your POB because you have nothing in your boots. But, you know, it's pretty much freedom to do whatever you want. We are Pathfinder for all the cool Pathfinder stuff. This makes us so that our poisons deal more damage, you know, and nearby enemies are poisoned. This gives us the Wither. The Wither is what we were talking about earlier in the video. The Wither is a ton of damage. This gains us flash charges every 3 seconds. And then these small nodes give us Flask Effect and Flash Duration and Flash Charges gained. Our passive tree is really straightforward. You're going to notice a very big difference between Qanar's passive tree and mine. That being that I have a Thread of Hope Crimson Jewel. Qanar is a really big fan of these attack speed nodes. I do think these attack speed nodes are really good. He is also a huge fan of these attack speed nodes. I wanted to save some points. I picked up this Thread of Hope on day 1 of the league with Corrupted Blood. I wanted to use it. If you do not have Corrupted Blood on your jewel, you can actually pick up Corrupted Blood on a jewel here and stick it in your belt. The Corrupted Blood jewels on a Searing Eye jewels, they're not that expensive. They're between nothing and a divine, depending on what you roll on them. If you're looking for a jewel with Corrupted Blood, just like search Life, Corrupted Blood, Searing Eye jewel, stick it in your belt. Like I said, I picked this up for Bone Shatter. Originally, I had it. I wanted to use it. And it just worked out really well. You can copy our trees. You could pick either tree. Both trees work very, 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 very well. The similarities between the two trees goes as follows. We both have impossible escapes. The impossible escape for Iron Reflexes gives us Panopticon, and then when I level again, will give us Ironwood. Ironwood is really important for keeping your totems alive. You want to get Ironwood and get it as soon as possible. In the reality of things, I should probably take out a point somewhere and put it in Ironwood. Panopticon gives you another totem alongside Watchtower. I had an Unnatural Instinct. I put the Unnatural Instinct in. This is giving me damage over time and phasing. This is extra. If you have it and can afford it, do it. I bought Unnatural Instinct for like 2.5 divines 2 days ago. If it's still cheap, it's usually pretty cheap all league lately. You can, and you have the points to do this, and you're in your 90s and you're looking for a little bit extra like oomph, you can pick up the Unnatural Instinct. The clusters feed the Fury, Martial Prowess, Tempered Arrowheads. The Tempered Arrowheads gives us damage over time, skill.multi, and increased duration. The Feed the Fury gives us leech and damage. If you get levels, you can get Martial Prowess. This is attack speed, damage, accuracy, ailments. This is really good. Now, if you don't have the Alchemist Genius on the belt, you can get Alchemist Genius on a node on a flask. So that is another option that you can do. You can actually come here, and I still should have the jewel. You can get Spike Concoction Special Reserve. If you have a belt lying around, this is too expensive to make. You don't want this. You have this. You can do this. This will give you Alchemist Genius on a flask, and you don't have to make this crazy cracked belt. And then you make that flask instead of this. This one over here, this gives us permanent onslaught. Every time I summon a totem, I get onslaught. I'm constantly summoning totems. I constantly have onslaught. This hinders nearby enemies when stunned. Now in our jewel sockets, we're going to do the Immutable Force and the Blood Notch tech. This pretty much says that we have immediate stun recovery, and this one says that 58% damage taken from stunning hits is recovered as life. So you get hit, you get stunned, you regen all your life. If you take this Pantheon, this tech will not work. If you click this Pantheon, you just die. So do not, ever, click Soul of the Brine King. This combo of life and stuff works thanks to the Energy Shield Mastery, where your stun threshold is based on 60% of your energy shield instead of life. Our energy shield is 37. That means that everything and its mother stuns us. Good to know. So we've talked about the Unnatural Instinct. We've talked about the Iron Reflexes. We've talked about the clusters. And one last important thing to touch on that you need to know about is the last final piece of the puzzle. This will double your damage. This will give you a ton of damage. This is expensive in terms of things, but it is well worth saving up. If you like the build, you probably want to buy this. This jewel, that which was taken, that drops off the King in the Mist, you know, that guy that doesn't exist in the mist that nobody can find because we run towards the pretty lights and you're not supposed to go towards the light, go towards the darkness. That guy. This jewel with the % chance to inflict wither on hit, and the node that says increase poison duration for each enemy hit. The wither plus the poison duration node will double your DPS. If you can't afford the 2 mods, buy the wither or buy the poison. The poison is probably more damage than the wither because we already wither, so get one, at least get one. I found this one that drops 2 totems instead of 1 with both mods for about 8 divs. It popped up on trade for 14 seconds. I screamed to my buddy Bubbles. I borrowed some divines. I bought it as fast as humanly possible. You do not need the totem summon node. The totem summon node was pretty much extra. I bought this for what I bought it for because it was the cheapest one on the market and it had some extra mods on it. So I was like, hey man, all of these work together for me except the banner one because I don't have a banner skill, but I can sure as hell find a way to get rid of these Specters fit in a banner. It was a mouthful. The build is fun. The build is awesome. The build is really cool. And like I said, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to end this video with a Blight Ravaged map. So if you guys want to see a really cool Blight Ravaged map, stick around. I'm going to do that. But, you know, thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for watching the YouTube videos. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. And from, you know, me to you, you know, thank you. I wouldn't be here without you guys. I appreciate everything that you guys let me do. And I enjoy being here, man. I really do. I enjoy everything. And don't forget, if you like this build and you like what you saw, you know, and you guys have really cool ideas, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, tell me in the Discord about your builds, do all that, stop by the stream and let me know. And I mean, if you got something really cool and I can afford to try it, or, you know, it's something that I want to do, I'll play it and we'll talk about it. Make sure you guys head over to Qanar's YouTube, give him a like, give him a follow, watch his video. His video is really good. He does a really good job of explaining things. He answers a lot of questions. I've asked him a million questions. He's answered all my questions. I see him helping a lot of people. Note something very, very important. Don't change the armor. Yeah, so lightning coil. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being awesome, amazing, wonderful, and beautiful. I'm gonna get this video out to you guys, and if you want, stick around and we'll do this Blight Ravaged map together. It is it's a pretty juicy one. It's a pretty juicy one. But for now, friends, so long, farewell. See you guys in the next one.
The Blight is trying to